This is Andy Purewal for Boxing News, and I'm joined by Boxing News' Trainer of the Year from the recent British Boxing Board of Control Awards, Don Charles. Don, it's good to see you. How are you? How is life treating you?
I'm very well, thank you. And life is good. I always say God is great.
Don, let's obviously just start off with that. As I said, awarded British Boxing at the British Boxing Board of Control Awards. He was awarded Boxing News' Trainer of the Year, not just because it's Boxing News and it's the company I work for, but in general, when you do receive, that type of credit, those types of awards and recognition for your work, what does it mean for you?
Wow, where do I start? It means everything. When you first take on this job, which mine started 25 years ago. Now you aspire to do good things, and it's taken me 25 years to get this recognition from the industry and to produce a world champion. So it's taken a lot of time. Better late than never. And yeah, so that's why it's even more meaningful because it's taken that long. I didn't get it overnight. It's taken me time of lots of hard work, sweat, sacrifices, and what I've had to put myself through and my family, my understanding family. But like I said, if you want success, there are sacrifices one has to make. So yeah, I'm really, really over the moon about the recognition, and I will use it, put it to good use. It's not just good enough just getting the recognition within the industry. I have a lot of plans, what things I'd like to introduce and implement within the industry.
Receiving that recognition now, Don, how do you look to use that to, motivate yourself further to look to, as you said, put it to good use and you have plenty of ideas you want to bring into the boxing world. So how do you look to do that and not just kind of, you know, dwell in this period of success, look to enhance it further?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, this success is for, I dedicate this really to my family and close friends. I also dedicate it to all the trainers nationwide because there are lots of trainers from the grassroots from all over the country, from the amateur clubs who do this job for free. I get paid. I'm a professional boxing coach, so I get paid for doing my work. But there are lots of coaches around the country who are perfectly good at what they do, but never get the recognition. And a lot of them do it voluntary work. Yeah. So to prepare these boxers who go through that, the amateurs go through the usual channels, doing the national championships, ABAs, and Commonwealth Games, Olympic Games. They started somewhere. They started at all the local amateur clubs, and so these trainers, they do all this, and the personnel, the students go on through their career to achieve things. And these unsung heroes, they don't actually get any recognition. And like I said, a lot of them do it as a voluntary work. So this goes to this recognition of mine. I dedicate it to those trainers who don't get any recognition. Some of them all through their career will probably never get any recognition, um, but they do it for the love of it. So this goes out to them. And those who are aspiring to go through the ranks, develop and go through what I went through, the journey, then to be able to eventually get recognized by the industry by producing champions. That's how you get recognized. So yeah, this goes out to them to give them hope to say, if I can do it, you too can do it.
Don, we know you train a number of fighters, but you mentioned earlier, obviously, you helped guide one individual to world titles. You're your first world champion that you've been able to train. When you consider those doubters that Daniel Dubois had when you first linked up, those who questioned his heart, his commitment when the going gets tough, how pleasing is it that it's him in particular that, you guys have been able to help along the way on this journey? You've helped him to world titles and he's given you I can't say it is, but maybe one of your greatest nights in the sport with that victory over Anthony Joshua in particular.
Most definitely, that's God's work. I wanted this many years ago, but God said, when it's time. I know I can say that now because it's happened, but as a human, you question. I questioned first 5 years of my coaching career. I questioned it. God, I want recognition. I need it now. And God said, no, you got a long way to go, son. 10 years in, I'm still questioning. 15 years in, still questioning. 20 years in, still questioning. 25 years later, I inherited someone in the name of Daniel Dubois to then get me across that line as a coach by going in that ring and delivering when it mattered. Doubters will always be doubters. They will always be there. That's a part of it. I've grown to learn that initially it used to hurt when people criticize you. You're trying to do something of your dream, to live out your dreams, but there's people who are there to shoot you down instead of getting on to trying to achieve their dreams. Maybe they don't have a dream, you know. Doubters will always be there. Critics will always be there. But you have to rise above all that and persevere and chase your dreams. And that's all I've done is chase my dreams. And the dream becomes a reality. And it's been written when everybody has their destiny. Like I said, my destiny. I believed it. I believe that I'm here for a purpose. I'm on this planet for a purpose, and I found my purpose and I found happiness. And I'm 63 years old. It's taken me this long, and to be in this position. And bearing in mind, boxing coaching is not what I thought I was here on this planet to do. No, it was a hobby of mine, a passion of mine that became a profession. How
What
sweet is that?
what did you originally think you was on this planet to do, Don?
Uh, like I said, I came here when my parents were 13 years old from Africa to England to study, and I was in. And initially, I wanted to be a pilot. Initially, I was obsessed with aeroplanes when I came to the UK, and I was pilot. And that didn't materialize. I did the studies, but my life changed, circumstances changed, and changed the course of my pursuit for such a profession. And then I went into business at a very young age, a typical African. I diversed and went into business, small businesses. So I run a handful of my own businesses, and they were all success. And like I said, meanwhile, when I was doing all these little businesses, I was also participating in boxing because it's what you do. I needed an outlet. It's either football, rugby, or boxing. I played football for my school. I ran in athletics for my school. I played rugby for my school. And then boxing is what I did late. I actually started boxing really late in my like 9 years old when I started. And not knowing that after, because I never boxed because I wanted to do it as a profession. I did it purely because it's something I like doing, a hobby. And it's only after I'd stopped fighting as an amateur that I realized my team, my stablemates who boxed for the same amateur club went on to achieve great things. People like Danny Williams, who went on to beat Iron Mike Tyson. And Spencer Fearon also boxed for my club. And Spencer turned pro and he did good things as a professional. So I thought, oh my God, these guys were my juniors. What could I have done if I'd gone ahead to turn pro, which I didn't. Then at that time I was I was around 29, 30. And I decided, right, let me try my hand at coaching. And that's it. And we're here today. It's remarkable.
So many years in the sport, Don. At what point do you feel like you can't learn more yourself, or do you feel like you're always learning about boxing and how to develop and improve?
Yeah, it's levels, isn't it? You get to a certain level, you're aspiring to get to the next level. I'm still learning. As old as I am, as experienced as I am, there's always things. There's always things to learn. Also, it's not even learning new things, that bettering what you already do, tweaking them, making sure that you try and perfect what you already do. So yeah, you never stop developing, and it keeps the brain alive. It keeps me as old as I'm getting. My brain's sharp, and boxing keeps my brain sharp because you have to think for others. You have to think of for others. When you go to sleep, you don't just, you have to plan. You have to keep planning. When you have a stable of fighters, they're all different individuals, and you have to manage them all. And you have to think for them, like what, because they're not all the same. They're all different. Well, mainly I've got big guys, but irrespective, they're all different characters. You have to think stylistically, they're all different. You have to come up with plans how to improve what they've got. So you're forever thinking, which is really a great thing because it keeps my mind sharp.
Don, you've never, for as long as I've known you, certainly been somebody who pat yourself on the back or anything. You've just kind of get on with your job. That's what you're there for. But this journey with Daniel, what do you feel like you've been able to help him with? If you were able to point out what you've been able to kind of bring out of him and help guide him to that world title, what do you feel like you were specifically able to work on with him?
Sorry, I lost you. I got the question, but I lost you there for a moment. The screen froze. Technology. So basically, you asked me what I believe I've brought to Daniel. Um, it's a number. It's a number of things. It's not just one thing. Again, he's the first most advanced and developed fighter that I inherited. I use the word inherited. I always do when it comes to Daniel. He was a ready-made fighter when he came to me. Like I said, I acknowledge the previous coaches he had prior to joining me. They all played their roles in his development. From his amateur coaches to his, I believe I'm his fourth professional coach, and they're all previous coaches with Daniel. They all played their role he was a very good level. He was a WBA regular champion holder, belt holder when I got him. That's a high ranked profession that I inherited. And then all the experiences I've gathered over the years has stood me in good stead to then tweak and develop the areas that I believe he needed. I'm not going to elaborate on that. Certain things must be kept sacred. And so there's a number of areas that I know he needed to develop in. And it was my duty as an experienced senior coach to first you have to recognize those things and then work on. And we're still working on things. It's not although he's a current IBF world champion, we're still working on things to carry on shoring up, to develop and tweak things that he's already doing good. We want them to be done better, so we've got to keep tweaking.
Before we come on to the future, let me just ask you about that night at Wembley because uh, you know me, I'm able to sit there and take it all in. I'm not as involved in the event as what you are. When you're, with Daniel, you're on that ring walk, when you're waiting for him to get to the ring, when you're in the corner, and when you're going to in between rounds, and you've got close to 100,000 fans in there screaming, shouting. What do you recollect about that night, the fight itself, Daniel's performance, and when could you actually relive it and take it all in? Did you have to watch it back, or could you do it in the moment?
Yeah, basically, again, this is where the experience comes into it. Like I said, 25 years is a lot of experience. I've coached at from Southern area level to English level to British level to Commonwealth level to European level to world level. I've had attempts with previous fighters, yeah, namely Derek Chisora. I coached 5 British champions prior to getting to where I am now. So we've contested. Derek Chisora has contested for the world title on 2 occasions. So I've done the journey. Yeah, I've walked that walk. I've been in big stadiums and soaked up the atmosphere. So now it's just for me a formality in the sense I've done this before. So I've done my dry run. So all those experiences gathered had, like I said, has aided me and put me in good stead. So I'm not phased by any of the moment, the Wembley stadium. I mean, an iconic venue with so much history. To be able to walk into that stadium with full capacity is, like I said, I'm still digesting it, to be honest. But at the time of the fight, you have to zone out and totally tunnel vision for the task ahead. You don't have time to take all that in, all the crowd, because you're in a zone. You have to be in a zone, locked in. Yeah. And the fighter is the same. The team, we're zoned in. Yeah. You could hear the noise, but it's all kind of muffled. It's all kind of dampened because you can't engage with that. That's like a distraction. You have to be tunnel vision, because we've got a plan. We have to go in the ring. The fighter goes in the ring. Obviously, we get out, the trainers, to execute the game plan. And my goodness, did he execute the game plan? And as long as I live, I love life. I love living. But I always use this, and my son George, he hates when I say, if God calls me tomorrow, God forbid that, to come and serve him in heaven, I will go happily, because that night, my goodness, yeah, forever, forever, it's going to stay with me forever. That's the biggest, yeah, except for when my son was born, the joy. And most recently, I've got grandchildren. In terms of my professional, obviously, I'm coming to England as a 13-year-old boy, to England to study, and then to end up 50 years later. I've been in this country for 50 years, in front of 96,000 people, in a historical moment. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go some to beat that, you know. So forever, that yeah, forever. I'm I'm satisfied. I'm happy.
Does a potential of a victory against Alexander Usyk defeat that, Don, in your opinion?
Probably not. Probably not. Yeah. If nothing as great as that ever happens to me, I'm happy. I just say to her, I'm happy. I hope God don't call me tonight when I'm sleeping. I want to live till I'm 100. you know, but in my beliefs, when God calls you, you have to go to come and serve God in heaven. So, um, you know, I don't want to keep saying that, because it's almost I'm asking God to come and call me tomorrow, right? Yeah, I'm happy, and I really am. And obviously, whatever happens in the future, right? It's like what they call the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. Yeah, I don't think anything will ever surpass, because this was a must. Do you understand? That moment was a must. We had to succeed. Yeah, we had to succeed, and we did, in flying colors. Daniel Dubois, God bless him, because he's the one who's been sent. As in, I'm a firm believer in destiny. I didn't know. I didn't see it coming, you know. And then when we joined forces, we became a force collectively. The team that I've got that works. I don't do this alone. There is a team. There's Daniel's father, who God is a. I always say to him, we always chat. So you're a God sent. God sent him to bring his son to me, to be able to achieve our dreams together collectively. You know, it's honestly, it's a wonderful thing. It really is. Like I said, I'm still working as hard. I'm still as hungry as I was. Yeah, because I'm still aspiring to achieve greatness. Right. So yeah, the show. Listen, they've this uh, recent achievement has only fueled me to even change gears. If I were a manual car, to change gear, to put it into another fifth gear or something, and just like take off.
Don, just whilst I've got you, let's just kind of talk about the current climate with Daniel before we come on to or talk about the next fights. Joseph Parker, I know you've addressed it on a few different interviews, but just for myself, just kind of how the entire week laid out, the frustrations from the team, from Daniel that you couldn't go ahead with the fight, and yeah, just take it away, Don, how you'd reflect on that week.
Yeah, obviously I've had time now. What's it been? 3 weeks, 4 weeks since
Yeah.
that happened in Riyadh. Yeah, obviously I've had time to reflect. You're seeing me at better times now, because initially the first week we came back, the first couple of days. So I was very depressed. In fact, I think we were all depressed, the team, you know. It's almost like an anticlimax thing where you've prepared to go and get another victory, you know, use the momentum, you know. Winning is a habit. Do you understand? We've got that winning habit, and we went there again to get another win, which we really believed Daniel would have done a number of on Joseph Parker. We trained the same way we train diligently, and ticked every box in checklist in training. We covered everything. And it was a voluntary defense, as you know. We chose him as the candidate to fight. There were a few options, and we chose Parker for a reason, because we believe Daniel's got the beating of him. And then to do all that, the money that it cost Daniel, the fighter, for camp, the 3.5 months of work, you know. And so off we went to Riyadh, and it's a fight week. We went there 8 days prior to the fight. And our routine, we booked in 4 p.m. every evening at the Mike Tyson gym in Riyadh. Every day, there would be cars waiting outside our hotel to pick up the team, 3 cars to take us to the Mike Tyson gym, where we did a live, because this fight week, you reduce the intensity of the training, you reduce it drastically just to keep the sharpness of the fighter. So we did that for Monday. We did it Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday is going to be our last session. And these sessions are not long. They're like 45-minute long. Again, like I said, the intensity is reduced drastically to what we'd normally be doing. I think everybody does the same. It's not just us. And so that particular day, the team, we were very, very, very well drilled, my team. Okay, I always have them because of the experience. We're very, very methodical, you know, very regimented, the team that we have. Yeah, everybody knows their role, everybody knows the togetherness. And it's compulsory. Everybody has to wear the uniform. It's compulsory, you know, we're a team. So we're all assembled in the hotel reception that we normally do in the foyer to be picked up around 3:20, because we have to be at the gym at 4. It's about a 20-minute drive from our hotel to the Mike Tyson gym. Anyway, fast forward, we're all there. I get a phone call from Daniel's father, who's upstairs in the hotel room, say, "Can I please come up?" Yeah. So I went up there. He said, "Daniel's not feeling well." I said, "Oh." So initially I thought, okay, we don't have to do this training today, because, like I said, it would have been our last session prior to the fight, you know, 48 hours later. And I thought it was just a question of just laying him off for that day, and then lay him off on Friday would have been the weighing day. And then he could then fight on Saturday. Then he was really unwell, you know, and first thing to do is to alert our promoter, Frank Warren, that there's a problem, that Daniel's not well. And then they sent, Frank Warren sent a Riyadh doctor, a Riyadh seasoned doctor, who's based in Riyadh. And he came, examined Daniel, and left some prescriptions. And at this point, obviously, we're panicking. Damn, is this like gonna prevent from, you know, we weren't thinking further than let the doctors and see what they're saying. And then the first doctor, like the Riyadh-based doctor, came. He said, "Look, from his findings, he's got something coming on. His glands were swollen. Those are the signs. They examined his ear." This doctor happens to be the doctor who's actually in charge of the whole show, that big card. This is the British Boxing Board of Control's doctor, a high-ranked doctor. And he came again, he examined, done a series of tests, blood sample, urine sample, again, looked inside his throat and externally and internally, and he asked me what's the last time Daniel sparred. I told him it was like 12 days prior to us going to Riyadh. So he too confirmed the first findings of the first doctor. Remember, they were independent. They weren't there at the same time. There was a 20, 25-minute gap between the first doctor and the second doctor. So the British Boxing Board of Control doctor then said, look, based on this from the test results, they were instant. At that point, Daniel turned around to me and said, Coach, I want to fight. I said, look, you just heard the doctor, two doctors, not just one, have recommended that you don't fight on Saturday. Okay. Then it was up to us. They can only recommend, they can't force. Yeah. The doctor can only recommend, it can't force you to. Yeah. So from that moment, when two doctors have told me, the head trainer, I get paid to make decisions, whether they're the wrong decisions or the right decisions. I get paid to make decisions, right? So that's part of my job. So the first thing I did, I called Daniel's father, who was upstairs in his room. Okay, he wasn't present when Daniel was being examined. All right. So I called him. He said, "How is it? What's the latest?" I said, "Well, the doctors, both of them have recommended that Daniel doesn't fight on Saturday because he's not well. He's got something coming out." And the dad straight away said, "Well, he's not fighting then." I said, "That's what I've been, if we're both in agreement that he shouldn't fight." The next phone call again was to Frank Warren because Frank said, call him after the doctors examined him. So the father called down, the father came down to the room now where Daniel and the doctors were, and then we called Frank Warren, and I could hear what was being spoken, Frank Warren and the father. And Frank, yeah, he said, the kid's not well, he's not going to fight. So obviously you can, that was the right thing to do, in my opinion, to pull him out of that fight, because you can't let somebody, and this, what he has, it's almost like we've all had flus. When you first get it, the symptoms and your body's achy and stuff. He had feverish feelings and achy feelings, and it gets worse before it gets better, right? It's the same thing. So the doctor also said that it will get worse the next day and the day after, right? So it's gonna, unfortunately, it's coincided with the 48 hours before the fight, you know. So I think we made the right decision, okay. And then obviously the show, there was panic now to try and get for the promoter. Yeah, we're obviously deeply disappointed when we now realize Daniel's not going to fight. We've had to pull him out the fight. So the promoters are scrambling now to get the rightful opponent to bridge that void. We feel responsible as well because it's a big card, and we were a big part of that card. Daniel and Parker was a big part of that card, and thank God they were able to get a name such as Bakoli to step in at very, very short notice. I'm sure they had other candidates who would have stepped in, but Bakoli, I think, because he's been spoken about most recently, Bakoli as the most avoided and feared fighter. So I think the audience went for it. Even myself, I was excited when they said it was Bakoli replacing us. I thought, okay, at least they've got a credible person who's going to step in. And for Joseph Parker, we fell for him because as a coach, I've been in not as a fighter, but as a coach, I've been in Andy Lee's position. I've been in the position, what happened to them, where someone pulled out on my fighter years ago. I know it's quite devastating when that happens. It's like, wow, you trained for this guy, and then suddenly you're going to have to fight someone totally different stylistically. So it's a blow to everybody. And so that was it, really. No fight. And remember, this is Daniel's. I always say this part. It's very important that people understand. Daniel has spent, I can't disclose how much. When you're at this level, you spend a lot of money for your camp. I spent a lot of money for this camp, and bearing in mind, it's also Daniel's biggest that would have been. And me, certainly, as a coach, it was been my biggest percentage of earning to date. So, what kind of human beings are we? People, what I'm hearing from general public is that people are doubting that Daniel was ill, that we bottled it, we you know, it's just brainless. It really is. Everyone's got their opinion. There's all these conspiracies, And even I'm disappointed. I've actually heard Andy Lee alluded to the fact that it's a bit suspicious that we pulled him out knowing that there's the potential that he's going to fight Usyk. I don't think it was a secret. They were accusing us before the fight that we were overlooking them because of the Usyk fight. And then obviously, Sud's Law, Daniel falls ill with. Yeah, I can understand why they might assume that, but they're totally wrong. And then Andy Lee went ahead to say he hasn't seen no evidence. It's quite simple. Contact the British Boxing Board of Control. It's not our GP or Daniel's GP that did this test. No. The British Boxing Board of Control doctor and the rear season doctor, contact them and ask them their findings. So it's not complicated. Stop putting things out there to deceive the audience. Don't deceive the audience. Very, very simple. Yeah, you can request. Go to the British Boxing Control. Say, I want to see the certification of the doctor signing in. Go and see it.
Don,
So
obviously,
there we are.
in the meantime, we're obviously looking at what's next then for Daniel. And as you mentioned, Oleksandr Usyk's name, we know there's been talks. We've seen Team Usyk come out saying that they've had talks. They'd like to try and stage that fight at Wembley. It's been mentioned. Is that what you're currently preparing Daniel for? And are you confident it will be Oleksandr Usyk versus Daniel Dubois next?
No, I'm not. I'm not. No, no. Don't jump. Don't jump the guns. I haven't said it. That I'm not preparing Daniel for any fight as we speak. Yeah, Daniel will be back in the gym as from Monday coming. Yeah, okay. He's been on a little break. Daniel, he needs it to get well, recharge. Yeah, he's always in the gym training, always. Right. I'll start training Daniel to our promoter, who is Frank Warren, to Daniel's father, who is the manager, tells me this is who we're training for. This is who I want you to train Daniel for. Then I'm not. There is no name. Come on, man. We're living in a world where information is shared easily or gotten easily. I too am a fan of boxing, so I very on my streams, whether it's Instagram stuff, and then you see things, all different things pop up. Yeah, there's WBO has
Yeah.
asked Usyk that he's got to fight. So it could be Parker fighting. I'm not the promoter either. I'm not the manager either. So I'm not at liberty to really expand or tell you that I'm training Daniel for. No, I will be training Daniel. That's what we do. We train. Then eventually they will reveal to me who we're training for. Then I'll specifically tailor make it. I'm like a tailor. You make a suit to fit. So we train generally. Then come such time I'm told this is who you're going to be. Then I'll tailor make it the training to for that particular fighter.
As you rightly said, Don, obviously there's a few things going on at the minute with WBO ordering Joseph Parker to face Oleksandr Usyk, but just kind of on your not your side of things, but kind of the team side of things, given the history there, and Alexander has
Mm.
physically come out and said that he wants to
Yes,
pursue
they
a
have.
fight with Daniel.
Yes,
Alexander,
they have.
yeah. So for you as trainer for the team.
Mhm.
Would you look at that as kind of music to your ears because it's a chance to right the wrong of what happened in Poland?
Well, for many reasons, yes. Who wouldn't? If Parker and his trainer was in our position, they too would be relishing the opportunity, being as we Daniel's already for Usyk, to right the wrong. Absolutely, we felt it was a controversial fight. Yes, it was. Yeah, so we feel that given the opportunity again to right the wrong, yes, most definitely. And who wouldn't want to fight for? Daniel happened to be holding the part of the jigsaw, which is the IBF world title. He has that. So that goes with the other three belts that Usyk has for the undisputed, right? Who wouldn't, in their right mind, wouldn't relish the opportunity to contest for that? Yeah. So if that's what's presented, then that's what it will be. Um, like I said, as I sit here, I speak to you. No, there are no confirmation or even a meeting to suggest that that is no, there isn't one. If there was, I will tell you. I'm very transparent with things. So I will. My fighter will come back from his break, and we'll go into train from next Monday. At each time we get from a call from our promoter, Frank Warren, and like I said, Daniel's dad knows before I do, and he will tell me, he will call me, he always does. Don, this is who we're fighting next, and then we will tailor make it for that particular fight. Yeah, tailor our training to fit the opponent.
Don, just picking that back up there, we was about to time out there on the Zoom. Just kind of one more on the theme of Oleksandr Usyk. If it was to be him, the knowledge you have from their first fight, seeing his most recent performances, seeing Daniel's progression since you've been working together, his dominant performance against Anthony Joshua, what would be different in a potential Oleksandr Usyk rematch?
You know, I don't like to. I like to hold my. I'm transparent on certain issues. On certain issues, although I don't play cards, I hold my cards close to my chest. Yeah. So please allow me to hold my cards to my chest. If I can't sit here, if that was to materialize, of course we're going to have to do from where we left off. We know what we did wrong, and we know how to rectify them and work how to eradicate the mistakes that we made. And yeah, but I can't go into details, but I can generalize and say, yes, we have to do a lot better next time to make sure it's conclusive.
Just away from Usyk now, but keeping with the theme of Daniel, and I want to bring Derek into the equation because Derek obviously had a fantastic win against Otto Wallin back in Manchester in February. That was an IBF eliminator. Now, he's always said he doesn't care about the titles at this point. It would be nice for him, but it's not something he's focusing on. Is there ever a scenario, Don, where you could envisage though Don and Derek lining up, Derek wanting one more fight, and if that was to be proposed in a huge fight, and is it something you would want to be involved in, given your, your relationship with Derek and where you currently stand with Daniel? Is that something you'd want to be involved in?
So because it broke up a little bit, if what was proposed, my
If
apologies.
a potential fight was ever proposed between Derek and Daniel, is that something you would want to see go ahead? Something you'd want to be involved in, given your relationship with both men?
That's not going to happen. And no, I wouldn't want that to happen, and that's not going to happen.
Short, sweet, simple. There we go, John. Just two other fights whilst I've got
Would
you.
you, would you, would you, my reason being, Derek brought me into the game. Yeah. He gave me the entrance to the boxing world, unknowingly. Unknowingly, we were aspiring to do well, but I definitely didn't realize how difficult it is to get into this industry. I didn't. Very, very naive when I got in. Haven't gotten in spending years. It's quite frightening. Sometimes I lay in bed and I panic. My goodness, had I not met Derek, what would have been my entrance? Uh, yeah. So, irrespective of how it is now, I will always owe him that because he gave me the entrance. So I can't have anything where a fighter that I'm training is going to, I'm in the corner to see him. No, 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 no. That's not going to happen, and will not happen.
Who would you like to see Derek's 50th and final fight be against? He's mentioned Oleksandr Usyk, but that doesn't seem likely. So who do you think would be the right dance partner for Derek to face and then sail off into the sunset?
Yeah, there's a lot of candidates out there. You know, there's a lot of candidates. Uh, Francis Ngannou comes to mind. Yeah, it'd be a terrific fight. You know, Francis Ngannou comes to mind, be a really good spectacle, good fight, and that would be a really good fight for there. There's also what I would really, really like, to be honest, yeah, is for Derek to fight for the regular WBA, yeah, which was held. I think it's been held by Kubra Pulev. He beat Manuel
Yes.
Shah to take it. I believe Fabio Wadley's fighting Pulev for it. I see Fabio coming through with that belt. Um, I'm not saying Derek's to fight Fabio. I'm just saying it would be lovely if that belt could become vacant for Derek to fight somebody for it, to finish his career by he held the what this kid has put so much, man. He's become an iconic uh, personality within the sport. Yeah, he's entertained, including me. He's had 49 fights. I've trained him for 38 of those fights. You know, I am his trainer, really. I am his trainer. Uh, the style I formulated for him is still serving him well. And it's very emotional for me because I said he gave me the entrance. And how would I have gotten into this to the degree it paved the way for me to become who I've become in box. So irrespective of how we are now, I owe him to Thy Kingdom Come to I owe him. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I would really like to see him crowned a world champion, not by fighting Daniel Dubois. No, I will never let two of my how can I put them? They're not. I'm not their biological father. My children, I call them all my boxers. I call them my children. Two of my children fighting. Now that's not going to happen. You know, especially Derek. Like I said, he gave entrance, gave me the entrance to boxing, and that's big. That's huge because without that entrance, I keep questioning how else would I have? Because he being the character he is, being the fights he won earlier on in his career, the fights he was not supposed to win, brought light to my name was born whilst training Derek Chisora. The name Don Charles was born. Yeah. So, like I said, there's been so many fighters in my career that's contributed. Everybody. Yeah. Your Frank Bulliones, your Mark Shinkwins, your Ian Lewisons, your Jozo Lichigans, Yazin El Machi. Yeah, these are the guys who won all the British title while I was coming through, you know. Like I've done it 5 times, 5 British titles, and there's so many names I haven't named. So please forgive me. Any boxes that are in the previous times, I've got all my current boxes that I'm working with at the moment. You know, they're aspiring to replicate what the previous fighters I've trained have done, and I believe they will. But like I said, Derek Chisora, like I said, in my book, there's a massive, massive chapters of the old boys' journey, the journey we went together, and yeah, it would be so fitting for him to win. Like I said, that regular belt would be really nice for him to win that and exit with that.
Don, just before we wrap this up, two fights I want to get your thoughts on. Two men who previously fought Daniel are fighting each other now, Joe Joyce and Filip Hrgovic. It was originally Joe Joyce and Dillian White, but Hrgovic coming in now. What's your take on that fight? And a lot of people, since Hrgovic was announced, they see him as the favourite with Joe. Even though he's coming in on short notice. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I see him as favorite, Bookie's favorite. I see him as that. Um, but my heart says to me that my heart wants obviously Joe to win, and I believe Joe can win. Yeah, and I believe Joe will win. I really do. I saw him earlier on today because a couple of my guys, Jordan Thompson, the troublesome one, and Harry Armstrong, the Dirty Harry there, uh, involved in his prep, in giving him some quality rounds. And I'm emotionally involved with this one, with Joe. He's not my fighter, but I've always liked Joyce. I really have. And I'm emotionally attached where, although he's not my fighter, I really want to see him British boxing. Been a long-term campaigner, uh, probably the most decorated amateur boxer that we've had in coming out Great Britain. And yeah, again, yeah, I really like to see him. And I think not just I've seen him closely. I've seen the spars. I've seen that he's up. Well, he has to be up for it. He's really, really up for it. And he's already fought Hrgovic once, as you know, in the WSB series. He was victorious in that occasion. Okay, this is a professional now. Things have changed. And Philip have come on heaps. You know, I mean, prior to Daniel Dubois doing a number on him, he was again an avoided man. And we weren't meant to beat him. They said that Daniel couldn't beat him, and he emphatically beat him, got the victory. But like I said, going back to the Joyce, yeah, I really, I believe Philip Hrgovic will be the bookie's favourite. Yes, I can see why, but my heart says to me, Joe, and what I'm witnessing in sparring, I'm gonna go with Joe to win.
I know you don't want to give any secrets out on Joe sparring, so we'll leave that one there, Don. Just a final one to end
Now,
on
come on,
though.
I don't give it on my own fighters. How am I gonna give it on Joe? Come on, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Just a final one to end on, Don. Obviously, we have that rivalry stemming back 30, 40 years, which is coming to the fore now with their sons, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. What's your take on that fight, Don?
Again, another historic fight. You know, wow. Again, I don't like sitting on the. I'm gonna sit on the fence on that one, and I'm close with both both parents. You know, uh, I'm gonna sit on the fence. All I can say on that one, may the best man win. It's gonna be a terrific fight.
Right, Don, I know you don't want to give too much more, and I'll leave you now to enjoy what's left of the day. It's been a pleasure to catch up with you.
What
Congratulations.
time? What time is it? What time is it? What time is it?
It is now.
Tell the audience what time it is.
It is almost 11. It is almost 11 p.m.
Exactly. So this is what we do. We love boxing, yeah. 11 p.m. I've done a full day's work. I went to Surrey to Joe Joyce's gym, Adam Booth's gym in Surrey with my boys on the train to spar Joe Joyce. I then went back to my gym in Borehamwood on the train to train my fighters. Who's got Jürgen Olver? He's got a fight coming up, right? And then, like I said, I won't let you down. I've come home, yeah, showered up, and we're doing Zoom interview all the way to 11 p.m. This is the for the love of it. That's how much we love what we do, right? You love what you do, right?
No, 100%.
Yeah, so that's why we do it. Yeah.
It certainly is, Don, and it has been a pleasure to catch up with you, Don. You've always been very brilliant. Well, you've been brilliant. I can't find
Engaging.
my words. You've always been brilliant giving me your time, Don. So I've always appreciated it. But it is getting late. I'm aware of you having another busy day tomorrow. So get a good night's rest. Thank you for speaking to me. Congratulations on the award once again. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Okay. Likewise, God bless you and your family.